Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic on a freezing cold day here. I've had to put a jumper on, it's so ludicrous. It's meant to still be summer, isn't it? Anyway, that's the weather. What are we doing in today's video? Well, I'm going to be trying a puzzle for you. I say trying because it is a Phistomefel. It's called HöhlenSTIL, which is clearly German. I guess it might be whole. And then the puzzle has some sort of lits element, which is a logic puzzle. I'll explain that when we do the rules. And that's a reversal of lits. So I've no idea. Basically, I've got no idea what the puzzle title means. But lots of you have requested this, and you know me. I absolutely love Phistomefels puzzles. So I'm going to have a go at this. It's no Sudoku. The eagle eyes amongst you will note. How big is this grid? It is 10 by 10. And the rules are bonkers, so I'll read them to you in a moment or two's time. Before I turned on the webcam though, I went over to Logic Masters Germany and I snipped some comments which I think explains why we're getting a lot of requests to have a look at this one. Mark Sweep, who's a brilliant constructor and solver, that was simply awesome. But Niverio's comment was the one that struck me as a little bit daunting. After understanding the core implications of the puzzle, I think it is more intuitively solvable than purely logically. I mean, that is terrifying. But Jesper's one of the cleverest men probably on planet Earth. Just writes, lovely, thanks. Anyway, this is what I'm going to be having a go at. I am very much looking forward to it. Now, a couple of things to mention before we kick off and I read the rules. First is thank you so much if you joined us for our stream last night. Mark and I returned to streaming after a hiatus during the summer. We were streaming a game called Cryptmaster. This is it. And it was very, very strange indeed, but quite a lot of fun. A bit terrifying when the typing got... you have to be quite quick at typing in order to not get killed by the monsters. And I proved to be inadequate in some instances there. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. We will be streaming again, probably at the same time next week. Keep an eye on your notifications if you do like to watch us stream. Other than that, over on Patreon, we have our Hollywood Sandwiches competition running. Do check this out. Lots and lots of you have been managing to solve all of the puzzles in this hunt now, especially since we published a hint. So if you are stuck, we didn't mean to, but puzzle one, sometimes it is quite hard to get the gradient of the difficulty correct, and we made puzzle one a bit too difficult this month, and there is a hint over on the Patreon chat channel on the Discord server that should help if you are stuck on that one. Otherwise, just enjoy the puzzles. We think they're a bit of fun and the feedback's been great. So that's a competition running until the 20th of September over on Patreon, which is our Sudoku club. Well, actually, although there's a lot of bonus videos there. There's crossword bonuses, Mark's connection videos, my lengthy solves, including some very lengthy solves, Phistomefel puzzles. They all live over on Patreon. It's a couple of bucks a month to join us. Check it out if you're interested. And I've got one birthday to do today, which is for David over there in Tennessee. David, your fiancée Aislinn, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think that might be pronounced Ashlyn in Ireland, but I'm going to go for Aislinn. Yeah, your fiancée wrote to me and described you as an incredibly talented blacksmith and the most amazing man she's ever met. And I know that the two of you are preparing for your wedding, which I think is coming up next month, and also renovating an old house. So it sounds like you're busy people. But I understand that today will involve chocolate cake, David. So I hope it is an absolutely brilliant birthday, and best of luck with the wedding and the house move in the near future. And that's all the news. So why don't I read you the rules of HöhlenSTIL by Phistomefel. They are as follows. Shade some cells in the grid such that all unshaded cells, the inside of the cave, are orthogonally connected to each other, and all shaded cells, the walls, are orthogonally connected to the edge of the grid. So let's stop there and make sure that we all understand what does it mean if cells are orthogonally connected to each other. It means they share a big edge. So these two cells are orthogonally connected because they cross this big edge here. These two cells are not orthogonally connected because they only touch one another at a point. We could make these two connected orthogonally by including that one, for example. Now they're all orthogonally connected because you can get from one to the other via cells that are connected along a long edge. So that's what that means. So in this puzzle, there's going to be a cave, so sort of an inner bit, which has to be orthogonally connected, and then there's going to be unshaded cells that have to connect to the edge, like that. So something like that's going on. Now, what does it say next? It says, clues are unshaded and indicate the number of unshaded cells seen in the 4 orthogonal directions, including itself. Shaded cells obstruct vision. So that's classic cave rules. If you've ever done a cave puzzle, and I've certainly done cave puzzles on the channel before, let's look at this 8 being the biggest number in the grid. What that means is, firstly, we're told that this is unshaded, so it's part of the cave, and it's going to see 8 green cells, including itself, in these directions. And what does C mean? Well, it means that you've got to be careful with that 4 clue. I'm just going to have a guess at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So something like that would be a valid way of constituting this 8 clue, because this 8 clue sees 5 vertically, an extra 3 horizontally to make 8 altogether, and then the walls of the cave fence it in. So that is how cave works. But we are not finished there. We would be in most puzzles, but this is Phistomefel. After the cave puzzle is solved, the cave and the walls each can be seen as a region. Right, so the cave is a different, and the walls each can be seen as a region. Use these regions as the basis for a Litz puzzle, i.e. place 1 tetromino into each region. No 2 tetrominoes of the same shape may share an edge. Reflections and rotations count as the same shape. And all tetrominoes must form a single connected area, and no 2x2 area of the grid can be completely covered in tetrominoes. I mean, this is ludicrous. So I'm wondering if I can do this without looking at the numbers, just to try and illustrate what I think is going on. Let's imagine. Oh, no 2x2 area can be completely covered by tetrominoes. Okay. So what that means is that I don't even know, actually. Litz is a puzzle type that I'm familiar with. So in Litz puzzles, the way it normally works is that the grid is divided into regions, like this might be a region, that might be a region. And into each region you have to put a Litz shape. So if that was a region, you would have to put a 4-cell tetromino in here. Let's go to the line drawing tool. So it might be something like that. That is a tetromino. And then you have to make sure that overall all of these tetrominoes are connected. So let's do another region. Ignore the numbers for the purposes of this. I'm going to say that was another region. Then because we need all the tetrominoes to be connected, we could maybe have, oh no, but then we can't have 2x2s. So you could have that, for example. You can see that this sort of S tetromino is not the same shape, or Z tetromino is not the same shape as this L tetromino. And then let's do another shape just to make sure that we're on. So then we could have a shape here, and that could have an. I was going to put an eye in there, but I'm not going to put an eye down there because then it wouldn't. I couldn't connect it out. So I could have that shape, and then there might be another region here, and this could have in fact, let's extend that there. Then this could be an I shape, and overall our job is going to be to make sure these tetrominoes, firstly, no two tetrominoes of the same type touch one another. So if this one had looked like that, that would be against the rules, because these two tetrominoes are the same shape, because this top right one is just a reflection of this one, a reflection and a rotation of it, so that's not allowed. But we've got to make sure that all the tetrominoes form a single connected area, and no 2 by 2 area of the grid can be completely covered in tetrominoes. Okay. I think we're just going to have to do this as, explore this as we go, basically. Do have a go, though. The way to play, it's only got 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty, which is perhaps the strange thing, given especially Navario's comment. But anyway, the way to play is to click the link under the video. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. So the first thing we can do here is that we're told that all of the clues in the grid, so I'm double clicking them to bring out the same numbers. All of the clues in the grid are part of the cave. They are unshaded. Yeah, this is very annoying, because the thing about unshaded 3s, for example, separated like this, is if you were to make that unshaded, you make these a beautiful 3-length region, which would then be fenced in. Yeah, look, all of those look very joinable together. What about this 8 then? That's often the place to start with cave puzzles. Start with the biggest number and see what we can say about that. Well, okay, vertically, this cannot take more than 5 cells, because it either joins to this 5 like that, in which case it would be capped out at 5 by dint of this clue, or it never touches this 5, in which case it could take those squares, and there are 5 of those squares. So this 8 clue must take an additional 3 horizontally, which means it must take this cell, because even if it takes those 2 cells, it still needs 1 more. So that's definitely part of the cave. But now this could be... that could be green and get us to a count of 3 horizontally, or this could extend further, and but don't forget, this doesn't have to take 5 vertically. It could take lots horizontally. What about the 7 clue? The 7 clue can't bump into the 3 clue, but I don't think that there's going to be... alright, here is a tiny point. The 7 can't go to there. I'm not even sure if this is going to do very much, but I've just noticed something, so I'm going to tell you. If the 7 did go all the way to here, I think these 3s are now a problem, because we can't join them up. Because obviously if we join them up, now this 3 would see 1, 2, 3, 4. If that's green, this sees 4 and that sees 4. So that would be grey. But I can't put a tetromino in that. It's too small. Let me just go back to the instructions. I thought each region of grey that we know has to get to the edge has to contain a tetromino, is how I read the rules. No tetrominoes. Yeah. Yes, I think that's right. So I don't think you can have a 1-cell piece of wall. Each wall segment that we're going to build in the puzzle has to be at least size 4 in order to contain a tetromino. So we can't go here, which is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, so we can go to there, I think. We can't even do that one because that's going to give us the same problem. This then has to be green, otherwise it fences something in and that breaks the world. So we could take 4 maximum horizontally with this. So we have to take 3 more vertically. And even if we took that one, we must take those 2. There we go. There's a tiny deduction. Oh dear, I don't know. The problem is with things like cave and lit is I do them once every 6 months, and that exposes me to ridicule. I think the 6th clue, 8, 7, the 6th clue is the next highest clue, and that looks like it can't take, well, it can't bump into the 5, can it? Well, it could bump, no, it can't. It would be 6 if it bumps into the 5. So, okay, so this square, yeah, this can't be a grey square, because then in order for this to achieve a tally of 6, it's all horizontal. It's bumping into the 5 and breaking the 5 clue. So that's definitely a green cell. Right, and neither of these can now be, these can't be grey, can they? Because there would only be 2 cells of grey. And we know each grey region or wall section we build is at least of size 4. Right, there we go. There's something. A 3... that 3 is finished vertically, so we can fence it in with grey. That's the first actually meaningful deduction. Now this square has to escape because it must, this region here must be at least of size 4. The 6 is now done. It only sees 3, so it must see another 3 horizontally. Therefore this square is not green. That must be at least of size 4. Here we go. Here we go, we're off and running at last. The 5 can only get 4 horizontally. The weather is horrible. Therefore, it must go up, which joins it to this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could go as high as this, or it has to go horizontally. Oh, golly. Okay. This has to grow, but I don't know how it grows. Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't got anything now. Let's just try and take stock. Where are we up to? We've got a 6 here, which is finished. A 5 here, which is not finished. These are separate wall sections, aren't they? That must be true, or you're going to get some sort of yin-yang problem. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that we know that all of the cave, which is the green area of the grid, connects to all of the rest of the green area. So somehow all these green cells are going to amalgamate and be orthogonally connected. So if this grey area and this grey area, say we join them up, you can see immediately this green area can't connect to the other green area. So, well, that actually is quite interesting as a thought. Because that means that all of the grey areas in the puzzle are going to have to meet in some relatively close area, aren't they? Hang on. because we're going to end up with a puzzle that's going to have grey things, it's going to have grey in the perimeter, the walls, and those walls are going to sort of extend wherever they extend, but they aren't going to meet up with other walls. And yet what I'm trying to articulate very poorly is that the green area of the grid only has one tetromino in it, because it's a region. But the grey areas don't connect with one another. So the way that we're going to achieve an overall Litz connection at the end of the puzzle, where the tetrominoes all join together through an orthogonal mesh, the green tetromino is going to have to provide the conduit to allow that to happen. So every tendril of grey, and that's why I feel there's going to be an area of the puzzle. Let's say it's here. Let's say this area, because you're going to have, there's going to be a green piece of the puzzle. Let's say that had a tendril. Let's say those were. Let's say this was the point at which all of the junctions between the. So this I'm claiming would be green, but all of the grey, wherever the grey walls are, they all have to get to this to breach it. To provide the bridge. So they all have to, or every grey wall section that exists in this puzzle has to touch, that's the simplest way to see it. Every grey wall section in this puzzle, however many there are, must touch the green, the only green tetromino. Because there is only one green tetromino. So there can't be an absolute wealth of grey things. If there were like loads of grey things, imagine we have got loads of grey things. Actually, it's quite hard to do this. Let's imagine that you had loads of grey things like that. And each of these grey things was a different wall section. Then it's just not going to work, is it? Because let's put a tetromino in there and say that is the green conduit. So these grey tendrils all have to touch this. And touch it in a way where they don't touch any other. Yeah, it's already broken. This is already broken, because you can't join up these tendrils. Yeah. Here is another thought. You can't even diagonally join them up. Look here. So if this was the conduit that acted as the way that the tendrils of grey performed their, then if I did that, and then I sort of said this, so this is a tetromino in grey and that's a tetromino in grey, which wouldn't work, so I'd have two eyes touching one another, but in theory, at least, that might work, except, look here. The green area, and there must be green, if we're saying that this tendril is different to this tendril, So that's the premise. I've got two different tendrils. There must be green between the tendrils. That's the nature of having two different tendrils. They have green between them somewhere, and the green between them needs to connect to the rest of the green in the grid. So you can never do that. You can never do that. So, oh, Bitdefender's trying to turn off my computer. No, no. An update is being installed. Bitdefender will briefly restart. Got it. Okay. Hopefully that's not going to break the... It looks like the webcam's still going. Well, so there are... Right. So what I think we're learning is that there are very few tendrils. Because if you just think about the nature of a tetromino, if we're saying that there's tendrils, probably an eye is the most, actually that's going to have the most surface area, if you like, of any tetromino that you could draw. Because I'm thinking if you did a T, which is what I was about to do, given that I don't think you can have two different tendrils touching diagonally, the maximum number of if the conduit in green that is acting as the tendril connector, oh, go away, Bitdefender. If the tetromino in the green that's acting as the tendril connector is a T shape, which this is, all right, albeit inverted, you could have a tendril touching there. But if you did have a tendril touching there, you couldn't have a tendril touching here or here now. So the next best would be here and there and there. Okay, so you could have 4, I think, around that one. Yeah, this is actually really interesting, because what this is going to do is it's going to give us a maximum number of tendrils. So what other shapes have we got for oh, hang on, didn't mean to do that. What other shapes of we've got a Z. Let's do a Z. So a Z could be that one. No, that's a horrible one to choose. That one. Oh, this is complicated. Hang on, I want to move it now, because otherwise it's going to be too close to that one. I'm going to put it here. So, if this was the shape of the green connecting tetromino, you could put one there, one there, one there, 1, 2, 3, 4 again, 4. So it looks like the maximum might be 4, unless the I think it'll be more efficient. L could be quite. I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure whether L would be more. Let's just think. See, L's horrible. Yeah, no, L only gets to 4. So can you get to 5, or are we capped out at 4? If you did, is it going to be better to choose an end? Or is it going to be better to attach it to a... I'm not sure. We'll try it both ways. So if you had an eye... Oh, good grief, Bitdefender. Calm down. If you had an eye and that was a tendril, then this couldn't be a tendril. So that could be a tendril. 1, 2. These can't be now. So these could be tendrils. These can't be. So that... Ah, okay. So you can get one more by having an eye. That's bobbins worthy, isn't it? Because I thought we were going to be capped out at 4. That's symmetrical, in the sense that if I'd started by putting the a tendril here, obviously those two couldn't then have been different tendrils. I really like that logic, though. I love the fact that if you do put a tendril here and connect it to a green tetromino, that can't be a different tendril, because these, by dint of the logic that we're saying these are different tendrils, that must be green. And that green, once I connect this tendril to the edge, wherever it goes to the edge, and this tendril to the edge, wherever it goes to the edge, that green can't get to the green that's on the other side. Isn't that? It's really, it's like a it's like a yin-yang argument. That's what it's like. It's like a yin-yang argument. So, actually, let me just think about that again. What is is it sort of? Do we strictly? Yeah. Okay. So look, if you did have an I tetromino in green acting as the tendril bridge, then the only way you can have 5 tendrils is with a strict on-off pattern around the edge of the tendril, around the edge of the tetromino. Because there are 10 cells there, aren't there? There are 10 orthogonally connected cells around the edge of the tetromino. And what we're saying is it is possible to put 5 tendrils in. And the only way you could put 5 tendrils in and not touch another tendril is if they are strictly alternating. I mean, so it's either that pattern or it's that pattern. Otherwise, we're in a 4 tendril world. And we've already found 2 tendrils, so there are a maximum of 3 other tendrils. Otherwise, we are overpopulating the grid with tendrils. Not a sentence I thought I would be saying today. So, well, there is a tendril somewhere there, because that can't all be green without making this clue broken. So there is definitely a tendril somewhere there. But that doesn't have to be a tendril. There definitely has to be a tendril somewhere here. Because otherwise this 3 clue, if all of that is green, that won't work. So we are now up to 4 tendrils. We can only have 1 more tendril. So if we split the 4s up, we are in tendril heaven. You very nearly are already broken, actually. Well, not broken, but you're very near. You do have to have a grey cell in one of those, but it could be that one. And do this, yeah. So if there was a grey section, look at this. This is very annoying. Let's say you did. In fact, let's say you did that in the top row. Well, you're going to have something in this column. Otherwise, no, there are going to be 5 tendrils, I think. 1, 2, 3. There must be one here. 4. Even if I connect those round, I can't make all of those green. Yeah, so there are 5 tendrils. Okay. So. Right, so even though we've done very little of the puzzle, we do know that somewhere in the puzzle is the I tetromino in green. Sorry about this weather. I mean, what is the time? It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's basically dark. I don't know if you can tell that from the webcam, but it's basically dark. I am sitting here in the dark. Anyway, I was getting excited about tendrils. So. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, even if all of those are, even if all of that is grey for a single tendril, I can't make all of these green. So there must be another tendril in this column, and that's going to get me up to 5 tendrils. 1, 2, 3, 4. And something down there, 5. In fact, hang on, those can't all be green. That's going to break the 5 clue. Right, so there is a tendril there. Oh, this is huge. Right. So now, 1, 2... weather is absolutely abysmal. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm so excited about this though, because now I've got my 5 tendrils. It's actually very difficult to populate column 1 at all, because oh, I see. So they join up. Yeah, that's okay. So I think what we've proved now is, because we're capped out at 5 tendrils, and we know roughly where they are, there cannot be, for example, we can't have a tendril here, because that would be a 6th tendril, and there is no possibility of connecting 6 tendrils through the green area. We have worked that out, so that is green. The same is true of these 2 squares. They are both green. And now the 3 is complete. So, okay, I know roughly where the tendrils are. I'm going to delete those grey tendril markers, and because I now know those and those are definitely grey. That grey is not of size 4 yet, so that's got to get out. This green has to connect to its friend, so it has to get out. Whoa. These are finished in terms of these 4 clues are finished. This has to get out somehow. The 8 clue here could only take 5 vertically, so it must take 3 at least horizontally, so it must take these. That's actually quite interesting, because this little area here, this tendril, has to be at least of size 4, so that tendril comes out, and now this green area in the bottom has to get out, so it goes up there. Can that be green? Very unlikely. Very unlikely. Because if that's green, then the area where the tendrils are all meeting is down here somewhere. And I think it's going to be right in the middle of the grid. Well, I can't have any green there, because if any one of these is green, these are 2 distinct tendrils, not 1 tendril, and I can only have 1 tendril round there, otherwise I've got more than 5 tendrils. This 3 can't be a horizontal 3 because it'll bump into the 7 and become a 4, so that's got to be green. Now what? This is some of the worst weather. Can you hear the wind? Sorry, I'm just sort of mesmerised by what's going on outside the window. The rain is coming down so hard. My computer is about 1.5 meters from the window, and I'm slightly worried that the rain, because I've got my window open because it was meant to be the summer today. I'm slightly worried that the rain is going to bounce so hard on the windowsill it will come in and hit the computer. I don't think it's hitting it at the moment, so I'll keep persevering with my tendril finding. This 3 can only be... I want to say that that's got to be... If that was green... No, that's not green. If that's green, it can't connect to this without being 4, so I'd introduce another tendril. I can't do that, so that's grey. There's some rule about 2x2s, isn't there? Can I have 2x2s in grey? Let me just read the rules again. Place 1 tetromino, no 2 tetrominoes. All tetrominoes form a single connected. No 2x2 area of the grid can be completely covered in tetrominoes. No, so I can't. I was wondering whether I could make this green, but I can't. What about the 7 then? The 7 can't bump into the 3, so it can now only get 3 horizontally. So it must take 4 vertically, not including itself. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it comes all the way down here. Can it get that one? And then be 7 vertically? I'm not sure. The 8, the 5. Oh, right, here is an obvious point. Sorry, that must be grey, mustn't it? Because if that's not grey, this is an extension of this sort of yin-yang logic. If this is green, this grey connects to the edge somewhere. It could be there. I mean, it doesn't matter where it is. But you can see that it's going to create a wall that fences in some portion of the green cells in the grid, either this portion or this portion, wherever it connects. So you can't do that. That's got to be grey. And that preserves this as being a tendril. And that tendril, same logic, this tendril is different to this tendril. Otherwise, obviously, these greens would be shut in. So if this is grey, that's capping out this 8 with a 4 horizontal. 2, 4, 5, 6. So these 2 would be green. I keep thinking that there's my brain is starting to think of this in yin-yang terms, and that's not helpful, because in yin-yang puzzles you can't have 2x2s, and yeah, that's not. Although this does have similar principles working in it, it's for completely different reasons, and I need to get away from that. I keep wanting to make this square green. Where do you think we go now then? So somehow or other, this tendril, this tendril, this tendril, this tendril, and this tendril are going to meet somewhere around an I pentomino in green. I wonder if it's there. No. Well, it's not there, is it? Because the reason it's not there is weird, but let me just show you it. It's not there because we worked out that the way the 5 tendrils operate around the I pentomino is strictly in an on-off pattern. So that would imply that this is a meet, this is an off, this is an off, and these are both meant to be different tendrils, and that's a green cell. It's definitely not a tendril, so that's not possible. So we can rule this square out as being a vertical eye as the meeting point of the 5 tendrils. That sounds like a good film Peter Jackson should make. So you see, if that's green, then this section, let's just think about that. If that's green, then all of those are green, otherwise we introduce a new tendril. That's grey. This grey. I was going to say it has to get out. That's not strictly true, because the other tendrils could come to it. Although I just feel that's so difficult to do. Yeah, we might be at the point now where Nevario's comment, what was Nevario's comment? It was something like, more intuitively solvable than purely logically. I just in the sense that I think the tendrils are going to have to meet in the middle of the puzzle, and it's going to be how we prove that. If that's grey, then all of this tendril and this tendril get pushed together. I'm just going to look at that for a second. If that's grey, that's green, and this isn't a big enough tendril yet, so it has to grow. And this is now forced upwards. But now how does that ever work? If that comes out, that would have to come out. It's tricky. This is tricky. What we really need to do, actually, what we really need to do here is to work out the location of just one tendril. Because let's say I knew that this tendril was up here and exactly in this position. So let's just hypothesize that for a moment. We would then know that there was a tetromino that looked like this, and this was surrounded by green. But what we would know that was far more important, in fact, I can actually see that this is an impossible. This is an impossibility. Actually, I'm not sure it is impossible. I'm so sorry. If this turns out to be correct, that's not my fault. I just thought it was impossible. But what I'm thinking is I now have to orthogonally connect this to the I pentomino we know joins everything up in green. Now, where are we putting that I? We could put it horizontally there, but that doesn't work because of the on-off pattern. This should be a tendril and wouldn't be. We can't put it here vertically because this is taking too many sides of that I. So the one place that I'm actually interested in is there. Because that's one tendril, that's a second tendril. So the other tendrils would have to meet in that pattern. Well, actually, that's really hard to see, but you can see that's broken. That is broken because which tendril is this one? And the only one it could be is this one, isn't it? But in being this one, it would touch this one, which is meant to be a different tendril, and that's impossible. Isn't that weird? So actually, that's very strange and incredibly complicated, but I've now proved, I mean, it's not going to help me, but I've proved that this isn't the limit of this tendril, because if it was, I can't put the I in that I need to put in. Right. So I've got to find something else to do here. I know that there's something grey in the bottom row. Yeah, so that must be grey. If that's green, I have to stop this being too big. Yeah, so that's grey. Sorry, that's a very obvious point. But these could both be green, if that's grey. So, hang on, isn't there a sort of... Yeah. I've got to be very careful, actually. Here's a very obvious point that I hadn't appreciated until now. But now I do have to be a bit careful with checkerboards, don't I? Because what I can't do here is make this green. Because if this is green, this is in a different tendril to this, And however I draw that tendril in, I'm cutting the grid in half. I'm creating a wall. I'm creating a wall. The way to think about it is I'm creating a wall. I mean, in that case, that would be the wall. I mean, it's a ludicrous wall, but you can see that the left side, the greens on the left side of that wall cannot get to the greens on the right side of the wall. So, once you have a diagonal connection and you're capped out on tendrils, I must complete the connection orthogonally, and the same must be true there. And this might do something here to this digit, which is now... Yeah, this is brilliant, isn't it? He's so brilliant, this man. Right, what is that? That cannot now... Well, it could be green, but it can't. These can't both be green. We've only had a 5 count here, so we could get 6 there, so we must take this. And in getting that, we actually complete the 7 count. That has to be grey. The 3 count is completed. This has to get out. Oh, this is it. This is going to be it. This I shouldn't have said that because it's broken again. Not broken, but now, oh dear, hang on, how are we going to do this? I've got problem. Well, this. Sorry, let me try and articulate what I'm thinking about now. There's some area of this grid which is green, where I put an I pentomino in, and it connects all the tendrils together. All the tendrils tetrominoes together. But I mean, look at this and look at this. How could they meet? Where do they meet? So what we've now learned is that the I is somewhere, it's something to do with this column. Because we just can't get, I mean, the way that that's going to connect to that, however these regions end up being, however big they end up being, they can't get closer together than something like that, can they? Because of this 7 clue coming down the grid. So somehow or other, the I is going to be involved in cutting this 7. I don't know whether it's horizontally or vertically, but it's something like that. So the 4 is going to come out. Yeah, but okay, but if that's true, and I think it is, doesn't this have to come out? Doesn't it have, it has to get... no, maybe it doesn't. No, that might be wrong. Well, no, it probably is right. Because if it just sits in its hole here, I don't know, actually. This isn't that easy. What if it did that? No, because this is touching too many sides. Yeah, that's another interesting point about the eye. Wherever we put the eye, it can only touch each tendril at one exact point. So we can't have it overlaying like that. In fact, because now I can't achieve the alternation I need to. I do think if I was on a desert island now, I could solve this, because the way I could do it is just keep looking at this column and trying out I tetrominoes in the various geographies and working out what worked. But I think there might be a better way of doing it than that, or maybe a more precise way would be a way of. See, this 5 is interesting, isn't it? Thing is, that could be green, or that could be green. Or if both of these are grey, these 3 would be green. That would suggest that the eye was going horizontally. Oh, wait a minute though. If I make that grey, didn't I don't like that anymore because of this. I'm going to have a look at that again. If I make this grey, this green has to get out. That grey's not big enough. This 3 is forced. Now I know that to connect this tetromino and this tetromino together, there's no way this can sit in its corner, so it's going to have to come out. This green has to come out. Yeah, this has to get somewhere within reach of here, but it could be a horizontal eye, so we have to be careful. No, okay, it can't look like that though. So I think it has to come out to at least here, and then that's going to have to come out. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it can't be that shape, can it? There is no way it's this shape, because if it was this shape, the only cell of that tetromino that this could ever hit is that one. And then the alternation doesn't work because this should be, well, that should be that, this should be grey. So I think that has to go out further. This has to be green now. Again, I mean, this is all so cluttered up. So cluttered up. Somehow I've got to have a tetromino that touches all of these tendrils. And this one. Without these tendrils touching each other. I mean, how on earth do you do that? How on earth do you do that? I mean, I just don't think it's possible. I think there's too much work for the green tetromino to do if you try and do this. This has to connect via a single eye to a tetromino that joins not only this to this, but this. I mean, how do we do that? We can't do it. We can't do a vertical one like that. That works beautifully for these 3 on the right, but it's horrible. It never touches this one. And if you had one that, say, did that, that side of it's too. What about that, for example? That might be possible. Let's just have a think about that. Actually, I don't want to say anything. I'm not sure. No, it's too cluttered. It's far, far too cluttered. Because these 3 ends, there's not enough space for them to fit into those 4 squares. It's not even close, is it? Okay, so I mean, it's a bit of a bifurcation though. But what we're no, hang on. I'm not prepared to abandon that. No. The reason I'm unwilling to abandon that is that this was all predicated on me sensing that this cell, it was very hard to make this cell grey. And by making it grey, I think I am now able to demonstrate, at least to my satisfaction, that I can't connect the tendrils with anything. because there is nothing. There is no eye I can draw in here. I mean, if we keep extending this, sorry, let me just show you. You definitely can't keep extending these, because remember, they can't touch, otherwise they would be the same tendril, which is just not right. So we could do something like this, but now we need something that touches that one, which has now been fenced in. Something that touches these two as well, and this one with a single eye, where these aren't allowed to meet one another. I mean, I don't even know how you begin to construct this strange creation that we're trying to draw, but there's just no way you can do it. There is no way you can, even if you go for some sort of vertical eye like that, extend this over. So I've now managed to achieve a 3 tendril cut, but this can't exist in the pattern because we're meant to alternate round the eye. And the reason I was unwilling to abandon that thought is important, because this square, if this can't be grey, which is what caused all this kerfuffle in the top right, if that's green, then there is a not only is there a tendril that is short and sweet down here, but also that tendril, well, the tendril has to have a tetromino in it, which now must be that shape, and we must be able to connect an eye tetromino to that in this grid, such that all the other tetrominoes, all the other tendrils, can touch it with the exact oscillation pattern that we're trying to achieve. Now, where is that eye? The eye could be horizontal. I don't think it can be horizontal now. No, it can't be horizontal. So the eye is vertical. But remember, we can't do something like that. I mean, there's many reasons you can't do that, such as that's a 2x2. But also, we have to get the oscillation right along the tendril. So if you did that, well, that's interesting. That actually might work. But that's not a proof, is it? What about that? No. That's interesting as well. Good grief. This is so clever. This is such a clever puzzle. This is not the answer for the green tetromino. But seeing that is a little tricky, because what you have to recognize is that this... It's not actually that tricky, but remember this goes, we're meant to oscillate round the boundary of this tetromino, on off, on off, on off, cave versus tendril. Well, those three are all the same. They're not on off, are they? So that just is nonsense. So we don't ever connect to this square. We don't connect to this, we don't connect to this, we don't connect to this, we don't connect to this. It has to be an orthogonal connection. I think that one might work. So let's try and rule out these two. Well, I can definitely rule out this one, because how does that one ever touch it? It can't. So that one's total. Well, actually, isn't that true for both of them? Yeah, it's that simple. You can't do those, because this one can never touch that. It just can't touch it. So how can it be bridged by it? It can't. So either I've made a mistake, or that is the only tetromino you could possibly draw. Now, the interesting thing about this, if we go on off round it, look, those would be on, these would be on, and this is on. So it does sort of look like it's going to work. Now, these circles all have to be different tendrils. So that one would have to be this one. That means this has to get out. This one, oh, I'm not sure, but it's going to belong to this top tendril somehow. But we might actually not be done yet. These all have to be kept apart because they're different tendrils. Okay, it still might be a bit complicated. This tendril attaches to this tendril. That must be true. The 8 is done. Ah, and the 5 is done. Oh, this is gorgeous. Look, it's done. Everything's done down here. The 8's done. 2, 3, 4. I don't know how this 5 works, or this one. Oh, although this 5 can only take one vertically. So, yeah. No, that's okay, isn't it? It could take both of those. Sorry. Okay, that's not a sensible thought. So there is some way I'm meant to be able to detect. Yeah, remember these can't touch diagonally. So if that was grey, they've touched diagonally. We've worked out that's an impossibility using our logic. So this one closes like that. This 3 can't go all the way, can it? So we've got to keep this one away from this one and this one. So it's going to form some sort of pattern up there, but I'm not certain I can see exactly what it is. Have I missed a clue then? Maybe that's what I've done. Oh, I know what it'll be. Oh, I've broken it. Oh, no, this is beautiful. I've got it. Right. Next question. Let's go back to the rules of the puzzle. Now, when we can't have the same tetromino shape touching. So what tetromino shape is this? Well, it's going to at least here. It can't go there because that would be 2 eyes touching. So it must turn up. And in turning up, it turns this grey. And now, why is this interesting? Well, this one cannot touch this one, even diagonally. So that's grey. That's got to be green. The grey comes through there. The grey must go there. This 3 has to take that square now, because it can only get 1 here. Yeah, there you go. If that was green, then this tendril to connect has to be a vertical stripe, and that's going to create a vertical eye. Tetromino is the only option, so that's got to be grey. And now this 5 clue gets finished like that, and that 5 clue gets finished by that. This is now an L. This is an L. We don't know about this one yet, but this 5 is taking its whole count horizontally. So it's either getting this one, or it's getting both of these. Oh, I hope I haven't made a mistake, because I do want this to be unique. Yeah, this can't be grey, because these 2 tendrils connect, and that's going to isolate this green. So that green does have to get through there. I sort of felt like that was true. That must be the same for that square. But I'm still not done. Oh, this has to connect. That's isolated. There we go. Now this can't connect. That's the way the 5 connects. This has to get out and be a tendril. And this 3 isn't... That's it. We've done it. We've done it. And that must be right, because there is no way that was so forced. I mean, you get an eye, a vertical eye, and 5 L's all connected to it. That is an absolutely mind-bending puzzle, and I think I did it logically. I think I did. I don't think I did need to resort to intuition. I had one bit where I had to think about this and the effect on the tendrils over there. But I think everything else was okay. I mean, that was logical. It was just difficult. That is a wonderful puzzle. That is so weird and different. And I absolutely loved it. That's one of my favourite puzzles that I've done this year. I know that probably sounds strange. How, by the way, that felt much harder than 3 stars. How long's that taken me? An hour and 10 minutes. That, yeah. I don't know. I did feel that was quite difficult. My goodness me, the storm didn't turn off my computer. I must stop the video soon so that this video isn't lost, because that is it's magnificent. I'm losing my voice. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.